the grandfather of all flip clocks, the Plato Clock. The Plato Clock was patented by Eugene L. Fitch in 1903 originally. There's some misconceptions about the clock that are flying around the internet. Hopefully we can dispel some of the wrong information. I'm getting my information by an article that was written by Charles Terwilliger. It was originally printed in the October 1964 Bulletin of the National Association of Watch and Clock Collectors. It's an extensive article on these Plato clocks. One of the things that I was shocked about when I first got the clock was its size. It's small. And if you see them on eBay, you might perceive them to be a little bit larger than that. But that's their size. There's several features about the Plato clock which I think are wonderful. First of all, it is a wind-up clock. We'll go ahead and wind it up now with its key. On the bottom, the clock, it says the Plato Clock, patented, and it's got the patent dates in there. That's one of the ways you can tell this is an original Ansonia clock. You can hear the clock a-ticking. You turn the tiles. The tiles are turned by a little knob on the bottom, or pages, or plates. And I thought that was interesting. It says 9 o'clock. If you turn the clock this way, you'll see that it's kind of canted backwards. That was one of the ways that Eugene Fitch tried to figure out how to make sure that these plates stayed in place when they flip. There it went. Now see, sometimes it fails. What's supposed to happen is this little hand is supposed to catch that tile and stop it from doing that. You have to kind of get the clock perfectly positioned, and then it'll start working correctly. Another thing this clock has that I thought was interesting, and you'll find on modern, well, what you might call modern flip clocks, is that it has ears on the tabs of we're getting really close to the hour to stop the hour from prematurely going to the next hour. There's a little bar in there that's supposed to catch it to stop that from happening, and once those tabs pass by, it will allow it to go to the next hour. Some more information on the clock. The clocks were, they say in the article that the clocks were, the ones in America were mostly produced about 1904 to 1906. And on eBay you'll see erroneously that it was made in 1903, and it's just not the case. They weren't produced until 1904 through 1906. The other thing is there was a reproduction made by a company, and that was in 1969 that there was a reproduction, and you can tell the difference because it will have a different clock name on the bottom. It looks almost identical to that clock, but it has a different name. There are German manufacturers, a French manufacturer of the clock, but mostly on eBay you're going to see the Ansonia Clock Company has made them. Some of them will have Ansonia written on the clock mechanism, which you have to take the bottom apart to get to that, and some do not. Another name that this clock had was the Fitch clock. It was advertised as the Fitch clock, but then ultimately it was advertised as the Plato clock. People erroneously presumed that it was named something about the Greek philosopher, and they tied into the fact that it looks like a lantern, something to do with a myth about Plato. But really, the attorney for Eugene L. Fitch came up with the name because those are plates, and the clock is a Plato clock. So that's kind of where that came from. It's hard to find the clocks in really pretty condition like this. I'm guessing that someone took care of it, maybe kept the polish or the clock from getting tarnished. That is the original glass. You can tell it's blown glass. It's really the clock is really in excellent condition. It's a beautiful timepiece. Another error that you'll see sometimes in listings and on your Google searches is that there were only 4,000 of these clocks made. In fact, there were 40,000 of these clocks, it's estimated, made. But again, in the United States, that wouldn't be considered a large number. Also, considering that a lot of these clocks have broken down and been discarded. So it is quite a rare clock. I'm honored to be able to review it, and I'm kind of scared to review it because I'm afraid I'm going to break it. But that's the Plato Clock, the grandfather of all flip clocks. Come visit us at flipclockfans.com.